It's a very low barrier to get into the Gronk Squad.
That's crazy!
We've committed to do the Daily Talk Show for 10 years.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Put it in the calendar.
That one in.
I'd just like to check the temperature in the room. I told you my squeegee story.
It is outrageous.
Come on, let's go.
Matt Diavella.
Matt Diavella is in the studio via web video link via satellite.
Where is he?
Does it look pretty good? I mean, last time I did this with you guys, it looked awful.
No, it looks great, man.
Yeah. What camera are you using? You got your EOS or your
the C70? I just upgraded. Not very minimalist.
No, it looks great. Looks beautiful. So you have joined us. How far in are we, TJ? How long have we?
Matt, we've got 4 hours to go, which means we're like 12 hours in nearly. Mm-hmm. 12, yeah, under.
I cannot believe. Yeah, dude, I cannot believe that you guys have been doing it for this long. I actually started to scrub through and take a look at what I missed, and I got about 5 minutes of content.
Give us the vibe.
Yeah, the vibe. Well, when I first tuned in, it seemed like you guys, you were hanging on by a thread. But since, I went back and I saw that there is actually quite a lot of energy early on in the podcast. Mm-hmm. And so I saw some music performance by Jack, which was beautiful. Like, brought me to tears. That was amazing. And Georgie Boy.
Do you like golf, by the way? Are you a fan of golf, Tiavella?
I'm not very good at golf. And I it's one of those things that I like to play, but I played with my father-in-law once, and it was just purely embarrassing. And he like really stuck to the rules, and so it was like I had to like look in the forest for my ball for like 35 minutes, and I was like, "This is not how I want to play. I just want to drop a ball and then keep going." But yeah, no, I'm not very good.
Yeah. And so you're mentioning Georgie Boy. He's downstairs right now. Georgie Boy, how are you, mate?
Georgie.
Yeah, good boys. I'm putting for you today, Matt. So if I get one of these 3 balls in the cup, then you win a cup, and we'll post it up to you.
Amazing.
Have you still got the hoodie, Diavella, or has that been chucked?
Let's go back to George to watch the putt.
Look,
I kept it for a while.
You did, man. You did. I feel like you even.
It's currently on a homeless guy
in LA,
in Venice.
Yeah. No, but I feel like it got a really good run. It made it in a few videos. It's all fine.
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit oversized. I think if it fit me better, I would have worn it more. I know that look works for a lot of people, but the baggy, I need a small.
Okay.
Yeah. Great.
Perfect.
So
we can send you that.
Yeah.
No, well, you're getting the big,
and then I'll donate it in 6 months.
to someone else.
Right.
So, GB, are you ready?
Here we go.
Okay.
First putt.
Okay.
Oh.
Got it.
In one. Matt Diavella, you have just won your very own big car.
Can we get him a what is it, Wendy's cup as well? George,
yes.
can you do
Yeah.
3 in a row, baby?
Yeah, he wants a Wendy's cup too, and we'll probably send him some books as well.
Okay, great, perfect. This is really good. And so the idea was that if GB you get 3 in a row, then you get the Wendy's cup.
Yeah, the Wendy's.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 3 in a row, you get the Wendy's cup.
Okay, which is a bigger cup.
Bigger cup.
Okay, all right. So here you go.
That's a lot.
I hope you like the reverb too, Diavella. That took a while to set up. No.
Missed.
Oh,
So it's all done. It's all
That's
done.
all done. Sorry about that, Matt. You're just getting the Daily Talk Show cup.
One's
That's all right.
better than nothing.
That is a nice.
I know when you were
That's a fine
down here
prize.
and when you're in the studio, you did mention the Wendy's cups. You liked them. We
Yeah.
tried to get you to use it on camera, but you did say no. So.
You got to pay me. It's like as a YouTuber, it's like if I have any brand in the shot, I'm getting paid for it.
Oh, definitely. What have you been up to in Sydney lately? What's going on?
Oh man. Lately, what have we? Oh, I went to a wedding. That was really cool.
Saw you dancing.
That was
cool.
Yeah, that was the first wedding that I had gone to. Oh man, probably in a year and a half. And I mean, it was the first time I was around a group of people. Like, it was being on that dance floor was like therapeutic. I was like just like embracing the sweaty moves and the grind. I didn't grind. Just it got weird.
Degreasing those hips. Did you, Matt? I saw that a bunch of people who from your motherland were sort of calling you out or saying something about COVID. Like, obviously, you just have to deal with that kind of stuff at a bigger level than we do. We get yelled at by people in the street. You get yelled at on the internet by thousands if you ever stuff up. But the difference in Australia versus America, what was the feedback you got?
Yeah. Well, it's always funny whenever anybody says anything mean in like a DM, like somebody will say something that's kind of like rude or like being mean or like that video you made sucks. And then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. And then they say, oh man, big fan, big fan. And I'm like, like every time they're actually like really nice people, but I think they just like, I don't know, maybe they had a bad day or like, I don't know, they just wanted attention. And so, yeah, some people saw the video that I posted of like me on the dance floor, just like with my iPhone, like bumping up into like 30 people. And a couple of people got upset thinking that I was breaking the COVID rules. And so I just wanted to be clear because like, I don't want people to misinterpret it if they don't really know how great life is in Australia right now. And so I had to kind of just let people know that, we are following the restrictions and the restrictions allow us to grind on a dance floor.
Yeah, WAP is invited to all dance floors.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this. I was starting to say as I like looked over the recap, but Georgie Boy put together an insane edit with the 1,000 episode recap.
Oh, thank you. That is so nice. What a compliment.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
I know.
I appreciate it.
Matt, have you heard of
Are you
pancake
happy over there, or like, are you looking to maybe get a new job?
You've got him vulnerable and tired right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. These sorts of things, like doing a live stream. We did the 24-hour stream. You sort of get into this sort of weird state of silliness, and like I can't gauge if we're making any sense at the moment. When was the last time you had that level of euphoria through doing work or doing something?
Oh man, that's a really specific question. Right now,
I get more and more specific the tighter that I get. Do you have any friends that have an L and an F in their first and last names? That's too specific, isn't it?
I would say no. I'm just gonna say no because that's the easier answer.
No, what about think about long nights editing all the time? Like, do you ever stay out? Are you pulling all-nighters?
So when I'm working towards a deadline, I will work a lot more than I typically do. Like right now, I'm actually working on a course, and it's like these are like basically like making feature films because I have to make 26 videos, and they're anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes on top of everything I already do. And so it's like you work like 10 to 12-hour days and just back to back to back. And like I don't do all-nighters just because like I think if anything was that pressing, I would just push the deadline. But like if you have a lot of work to do over a period of like a month, I will. And I think it's like actually that's so funny that you even mentioned that, because like Nat and I, we're both in the same boat where my wife Nat and I are both working really hard towards a deadline. And at the end of the day, we just started getting silly, like giggling over the dumbest shit, just like hysterically laughing at like how burnt out we were. Like, I don't know if you've ever gotten to that point where it's just like, what is our like? You're not happy, but you're happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're like falling apart, I think.
It's even like from a food perspective, we were saying like it feels like we've been on a fly. Like I was like, not to get too graphic, but like
don't get graphic.
Yeah, like tomorrow, what's
well, it feels like your internals have it's like muddy water. It's just like stopped. It's like a dam that has no flow of water. You just feel, that's what you feel like.
Surprisingly, I've nearly closed my my move ring
with your arm,
which is pretty impressive.
With your arm. What about early days, Matt, when you were freelancing, more making content for brands? and clients. Did you ever do any crazy shoots, long drives, or like trying to get back from one side of the country to another?
I think the craziest shoots I would do, and these would be edits, but like there were a string of, I think, like 5 to 10 edits that I did within a few week period, where Reebok had asked me, or I was hired by another production company, but they basically were giving me the footage at 10 p.m. and then I had to turn around the edit by 8 a.m. So it was an overnight edit. That was the first time I ever tried Adderall, which works really well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's the downside of taking it all the time?
Addiction.
Well, yeah.
No, you definitely do get addicted to it because you start to think like, how could I ever function without this? Because like it really, you have like such laser focus, but there are a lot of really negative downsides to taking Adderall in that you lose your appetite, you lose erections. Like it's not the best thing. The appetite's one thing,
but don't you dare take my erection away from me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I had to slowly wean my way off.
Yeah. You if you want to relate to TJ, just mention his boner and he's right there.
Mate, I haven't had one in a while.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I haven't had one today.
Okay. That's not saying much.
Is that a while?
Yeah, is that a while? Yeah.
What are you drinking, Matt?
Yeah, I'm drinking Glenfiddich.
Is this a
12-year, which pairs really well with a little bit of Hey Tiger.
Cute little Hey Tiger chocolate.
Hey, look at that.
Bree's loving this. I'm just saying.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Bree. Oh. What are you eating, Bree?
Bree is currently eating a chicken Mexican bowl. There you go. Bree's is on. Do you want to go on, Mike? There you go.
Thanks for the shout out, Matt.
Hey, where's Nat? It feels like Matt's gone wild with Nat being out or something. Where is she?
Actually, I did ask Natalie to leave the apartment today because I was filming all day and like I was filming all throughout the apartment, and I was like, if it's all these phone calls, she has like 3-4 phone calls a day, and I'm like, I will have a mental breakdown if I have to like work around your phone calls. I asked her to parents' house, and then but she just got back and she's got like really bad seasonal allergies right now or COVID. She's just like sneezing like crazy.
Yeah. Wait till all the people that were dissing you online saying that was the wedding.
I told you, hay fever.
Told you, the wedding. No, allergies are horrible. Over the weekend, I was sneezing a fuckload, and I was like, am I sick? Because I don't want to accept that I've got any kind of allergies or anything. Are you allergic to anything, Matt?
I have a condition. It's like a disease called chronic urticaria and angioedema, which sounds really fancy and scary. Yeah, it sure does. I say that to make it sound like a really serious condition because, like, it actually is just it's chronic. So it's chronic hives, meaning and chronic hives is whenever it lasts more than 3 months, and angioedema is just like swelling. So basically, it's funny. Or not funny, but this happened right around the time I started to, build a popular YouTube channel. And I don't know if it was the stress or what, but like it was 2018. I started getting randomly, like my lip started swelling up, like my hands would swell up, my wrists would swell up, and I would get hives, like really itchy hives all over my body.
Is that how it works? They give you a play button when you hit 100,000 and chronic hives.
Yeah, and a mental breakdown.
I mean, it does seem consistent, doesn't it, to the whole YouTube life?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, but the fix is actually really easy. I went to a couple, allergists and doctors, and they all said the same thing: is that just take allergy medicine. And so, like, I literally take allergy medicine every day when I wake up, and if I don't, then I start to itch.
Kelvin's mentioning Inbox Zero. Are you an Inbox Zero guy, Devella?
Yeah. I definitely am. Are you guys not? Do you guys like just let emails fill up in your inbox?
Well,
what day are you thinking? Because it depends when. No, sometimes. I mean, that is the challenge. It's sometimes you're in Inbox Zero.
I just have so many different inboxes. So I can get inbox 0 on work email, but then not other email.
Oh,
but
yeah.
then,
I've given up on other emails.
But GM Jess goes crazy on the folders. I see no point in folders because you've got a search function. Are you a folders guy?
You know, I do have folders, but I don't go crazy with them. I like having the folders there for some specific things like weddings. So like, you know, when it comes to like planning and managing a wedding, what I do is I just throw it all in the wedding. No, for our wedding. But whenever an email comes in that's related to the wedding, I just automatically archive it and put it in the wedding folder until Natalie does it. And then if she doesn't do it, then I go into that folder to figure out what I need to do.
Well, I think about if you have lots on and you've actually got hard work to do.
Yeah,
that's when the inbox 0 thing becomes harder. But when you've got light work, like there's not much, you know, it's easy to archive an email that you don't really care about. Harder to sort of get through an inbox.
Longest? Yeah, so like what's the longest besides emails that you never get back to? Like how long do you let some emails go? Like what's the proper etiquette there? Because like obviously a lot of people have different opinions there, but like what is the actual etiquette? Like if you reply too long to an email, is it like 3 days? Is 3 days unacceptable?
Oh, well, no. So this is the whole thing. What I was going to say is if it's longer than a week, you probably have to say, oh, fuck, it's been in my spam or whatever. But Tommy read the book Lying by Sam Harris. Yeah. And so Tommy's trying not to lie anymore.
No, it doesn't makes it out like I'm a liar. But it's amazing, Matt. It's amazing, Matt, when you start to think about those moments in life where you what is lying? It's like a manipulation or a distortion of the reality in someone else for someone else. And so because you know it is a certain way, there's many times that you could lie, whether it be to a partner, whether it be to your work colleagues or a random person. And if you just have the rule, which Sam sort of sets out as just quit it, just quit it, kid. But if you stop or you don't have the option to, you will realize how many times you go towards deception. Yeah. Not that it's a hard lie of fucking Iona
So, Maserati. Are you a liar?
Are you a liar? Yeah.
No, actually, I read the book as well, and Nat and I both got into a little it's really fun debate because there are a lot of times.
Is that why Nat's not there? What's happened, mate? Tell us.
It's all happened very
all
quickly.
Good? Everything all right?
Yeah. No. That's why do you think she went to her parents' house?
No, but so you're ready? Yeah?
No, but it's like. Yeah, like with when you lie, you I don't know. It's I think sometimes it feels like the easy solution when actually just omitting information is the easiest. And so if somebody were to ask you how much money you made, you don't have to tell them that it's $1 million. You can tell them, I don't feel comfortable sharing that information with you. And that is a much easier way to get around it than just lying or making up a number.
I feel like you're worried that we're going to make this whole episode about how much money you've got again.
Yeah. I said after the last podcast, I said, guys, we can't just keep doing podcasts about how successful I am.
Well, I don't know if you saw the episode with Jack Post, which I saw you saw the music bit, but we spoke about his Tesla every 10 seconds.
Yeah. And I like it because I like how uncomfortable he gets about it and how he makes it out that it's not a big deal to have a Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, guys, it doesn't have autopilot. Come on, it's just the standard model.
I love their bit, like the touch of the common man. Nat and I use that all the time. It's so funny.
I mean,
gotta keep up appearance. It's funny, like you got to keep up appearances by making yourself seem poor.
GB, you really are a common man. And have you got anything in the archives that you could share with us?
Yeah.
Do you want to go into the
pop into the archives now? All right, I'm just having a look around. Yeah, I found something that is very common man, actually.
Okay.
Matt Diavella. This is a really funny story.
Yes.
And sorry if it brings up, old memories. But
do you want to go out of the cupboard?
I'll come out of the cupboard and explain that. But very common man just looking up a massage parlor and and going to it online.
Go for it.
Can you tell us about this massage incident?
Yeah, so
All right. The other day, Nat and I had just gotten back from a little bit of a trip, and then I told her, like, I want to get a massage, and she's like, oh, yeah, I'll find a place for you. And then she found a place, and I want to say, I don't want to say the name of the place, but let's just say it was Happy Massage. It wasn't called Happy Massage.
Smiley Massage.
Let's say Happy Massage.
Walk out smiling.
Yeah. So then I just, she said that, and then I Googled it, and I wrote in Happy Massage. She said it's really great, highly reviewed, 130 ratings, all like 4.5 star. I'm like, this is perfect. So then I Google it, and then I copy and paste the address into my phone. I see that it's 4 minutes away.
What sort of massage were you after?
Hand job.
Touch to the common man.
In more ways than one.
That was great. You know what? Watching these highlights back of how close we have been to people in the past, like physically close, makes me uncomfortable. And I don't really care about personal space.
November 2019 in LA. It was probably almost around then.
Yeah. Well, it was happening. That was the pandemic. It was COVID-19, 2019.
It is ridiculous. I mean, that LA trip was so much fun.
Much fun.
Glad that we got to do it.
Glad we got to hang with you, Matt.
Yeah.
That was lovely.
Yeah, trip of a lifetime. I'm gonna hold on a second. Sorry.
Is he playing? Are you going to play a snippet or something?
No, solitaire.
No.
He's actually trying to buy Bitcoin. Yeah, he's just like, look, fucking.
I was actually looking up massage parlors in Sydney. No. Actually, I want to do. Let me. I got an Instagram, so we can get a couple of people coming in.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you don't do anything for under 45 people.
Go to a nice shot.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Wait,
hold on. I got to do that again. Who wants to be in the shot?
Okay. Yeah. Hang on. Let me put it. Oh yeah. Sorry, I fucked it. There you go. There's a 2-shot if you want it.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
Waving.
There you go.
Waving a 2-finger wave.
2-finger. Why are we doing 2 fingers?
I don't know.
I've never done a 2-finger wave.
Okay, and then
this one.
I got to get the link.
2-finger wave.
Oh, yeah.
Can you text me the streaming link?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can do that.
That's a great idea.
YouTube.com/
If you're not doing too much already.
No, that's fine. I can do that. I'm just.
Got a bit on.
I just actually haven't.
What's for dinner, Matt? Let's do some dinner.
Chocolate. No, I think we're gonna get Chinese because Nat's not feeling so well. So I think we're gonna do some hot and sour soup. Is that weird to get delivered hot and sour soup?
No.
You should see the shit we've had delivered today, Matthew.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Wow, man.
Did you guys start the day with wine? Did I see?
There was a Prosecco open, but we didn't.
We popped it, but we drank it later.
Yeah.
I might get fired up.
Yeah, get fun.
What do you think of food? Like the produce that you get in Australia versus the US, is it basically the same? Like, you eating the same shit?
Well, it's interesting because I think that organic is a little bit more difficult to find here, but it's not hard to find locally grown produce, which I think is, I don't know. What are the standards here? It's like, I imagine it's pretty good. You guys are like pretty conservative.
It is, country. But it's like how they wrap it up over in the States. Like, think about Whole Foods and how it makes you think when you walk in.
Yeah.
I feel like there's great, like I found when I traveled Europe, I was like, mate, I'm just eating fucking salt. Like, I feel like I can't get something that's just sort of, just a bit of avocado and toast or something just a bit more plain and less intense. But America, I feel like, does the healthy, what do you call it? Like, not virtue, the optics of
a lot of smoothies and stuff.
Yeah, all that.
A lot of smoothies.
Juice bar.
What is the I went to a place in LA. What was it called, Breezy? The one that we asked a hotel person at the front of the hotel, like, hey, we're looking for a just something light to eat. What was that place called?
They sent you to a rub and tug.
What do you call it? It's like
the grits,
the griddle.
The griddle
on Sunset Boulevard.
And it was like the most full-on.
They were huge. It was
experience,
like meals for 10.
Yeah, pancakes sort of.
One person. Yeah, they were massive.
The griddle.
Yeah,
is it everything from the griddle, or is just the name of it?
Yeah, I think it's famous. I saw a guy that was on Joe Rogan that was wearing a T-shirt like it was
the griddle.
Like have you heard of this place before, Deval?
I've actually never heard of the griddle.
The griddle?
Yeah, no.
What about all
sounds
the
very common?
All the restaurants that have closed.
yeah.
All the restaurants that have closed down in LA, like a crazy stat of something. No, because
we're on fire.
Sam Harris can't lie, can't say it. I was going to say 70%, but I think my friend said that, and I was like, I don't trust that.
Really?
But
do you want some reverb?
Yeah, 70% feels too high.
TJ, do you want some reverb?
hang on. No, I'm typing it in. When I come back with the answer, I'll give it to you in reverb.
Yeah, I worked out how to get reverb going.
I would guess 40%. No, 30%. Okay. Most businesses fail anyway, though, don't they?
yeah. I mean,
it's about time.
Yeah, I'm sure you
That's
could
why I'm
feature
not a
us in a video
politician.
about it.
Imagine if a politician said that. Well, most businesses fail anyway, so it's really not that bad of a year.
You're right. I mean, did you have any feedback or anything that stood out to you with the video that we made when you were in Melbourne?
I think that video particularly, like, I just saw a lot of people that, like, this is the topic that I don't really talk about that much, like kind of like pursuing your dreams and creativity and all that stuff. I mean, one, that was like the most fun I've had making a video in a really long time. I don't think I've put together a blooper reel for that yet, but I have to, because Josh, we tried that one take with you about 20 times.
I'm such a poor actor.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been watching The Office a lot. And so like that's kind of the vibe we were going for, where like you were like, you know, kind of making eye contact with the camera, but you kept doing it in a really awkward, uncomfortable way.
Yeah.
But
it's hard.
The response was overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Overwhelmingly
shitty. Yeah, nobody cared about it.
Yeah, that's
Tommy's really tired. Mate, I've got the reverb for you. Do you want to use it?
No, I didn't find the stat.
Okay.
I reckon definitely someone's burying it.
Is there anything, Dear Val, when I worked out that I could do reverb quite easily, it has become this thing that we use a fair bit. Has there been anything, sorry about that, has there been anything from a technology perspective that you've overused from a craft perspective just because it was shiny and new and you're like, oh, I've got to use this in every shot, or I've got to, you know, just want to use it?
I don't know. I think I think I learned very early on that I wasn't very good at like special effects and graphics. And so like, and I think that's the one mistake most people make early on, where they just keep trying to add and add and add to things. And I was like, okay, a straight cut looks good, so I will use that. But the only transition I actually do use is like the wipe, which is like when the wipe and like a little whip to kind of do a flashback or a cut to a sketch. And so I definitely overuse that more than anything else, where if I'm in the middle of a video and I'm cutting to a sketch, it'll almost always start. And I think I got that from 30 Rock. 30 Rock would do that all the time, where it'd be like the push and the whip, and then you cut to the sketch. And it's just a fun way to enter a sketch.
You a Ken Burns guy? You like the Ken Burns effect?
Let's get into it. Let's get into the details. I did. Everybody like learns about Ken Burns like in high school and stuff when you're in like video class. And I remember doing a couple projects like based upon the Ken Burns effect. And it's funny how like I feel like our teachers are always so blown away by just the innovation of the slow push in on a photo. And like technology has come so much further, but they're still like caught up on the slow push in.
Yeah. It's crazy how you can make a photo look like video.
Bring it to life.
Absolutely brings it to life.
Yeah. What are you excited about at the moment? Like, what are you thinking about? What are you geeking about?
This new camera. I do like this new camera.
It is good.
Anytime I get a new camera.
Can I just give you, from one sort of average filmmaker to another? A great filmmaker. If you're shooting XAVC in 10 bits, you've already told him?
Yeah, I mentioned it to him.
Yeah.
But just about the
what did you say? I forget.
It's not
the buffering issue. Just like be careful of making sure that it doesn't just turn off, because that happened. And TJ, I think
I can finish it. What I was going to say, if you want.
Yeah, go for it. It just seemed like you were panicking.
No. I was having fun. So XAVC, 10 bits. If you're shooting 4K, be careful, Matt, because it will turn off on you. If you can't man the camera, don't fucking film.
I actually just started. I have a lot of because I'm shooting this course, and I actually hired a couple editors now to because we're launching it in like a couple of weeks, and I have no time. And I was like, I need to hire a couple editors to help me do this. And so I just decided to actually shoot the rest of it. Oh, hey, Nat. I said hi.
I didn't know it was going to be shot.
No. Sorry.
She said, I didn't know I was going to be in the shot.
Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
No escaping. I was going to say that.
With all the
I actually just decided. Yeah, I just decided to just shoot the rest of the course in 1080p. Because I'm like, it's in 10-bit. It looks amazing. And most people, I don't know, they get so caught up on 4K. But when I'm looking at the footage, it looks great. Nobody's going to know the difference of whether it's 4K or 1080p.
Okay.
And
we will deliver in 720.
Yeah, right. But it's just the speed at which I can just even dump a card and transfer footage and then upload that footage. I can shoot for an hour and it's 20 gigabytes and I can upload that to Google Drive. When if it's 4K, it's 100 to 200 gigabytes and it's just impossible. So
we were talking a bunch about exposing. This is very sort of inside baseball filmmaker, but I guess we have a few filmmakers.
It requires reverb.
C-Log. Exposing all of that sort of stuff, whether you overexpose it, underexpose it, what should you set your ISO at? What's your latest thinking? How are you exposing things, and what do you think when it comes to ISO on the C70? The Gronks want to know.
Oh, that's a really good point because the ISO thing, there's something called native ISO. Mm-hmm. And ISO is the gain on the camera. Nobody's going to know what it means. Unless, if you know what it means, you know what it means. I'm not going to be able to describe it. But anyway,
it's like the film. If you think about it, it's back in the day there was film sensitivity. Maybe you would get daylight film or stuff that's more sensitive that you could have sort of in darker situations. ISO is just how sensitive it is to light. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and so you can dial the ISO. It's almost like a digital way to increase the amount of light that comes in the camera. And so then the higher up you go, the more grainy it gets. Mm-hmm. But so then you might think, keep the ISO as low as possible. But then there's something called native ISO, which is how the cameras are designed to really work. And native ISO is different for each camera. And so we were kind of just talking about, and I was reaching out to filmmakers about whether that's important or not, because I haven't used native ISO for a long time. And my one filmmaker friend responded and said, it's more of the, I guess something with the highlights. It's it gives you more smoother highlights. And it obviously does give you a wider dynamic range, meaning I'm not going to describe.
This is a free course.
This is great.
We're actually going to package this up and sell it.
This is what, by the way, this is what my course is actually going to be like. It's just going to be me trying to explain things and then be like, no, forget it. I can't even do it.
Yeah, Google it.
What have you learned through doing all the course stuff? Is it a different beast to what you used to?
Yeah. I mean, one, I found that talk to your audience first to find out what they're actually struggling with. Because I actually made this whole course on how to build and grow a YouTube channel. And I was kind of I was coming to that, building that. One, I had 10 years of filmmaking experience and then 3-4 years of making my own YouTube channel. And then I'm coming from it with the burden of having been through all this experience. And I don't really know what somebody who's really just getting started, doesn't know anything about cameras, anything about starting a YouTube channel. You have to really put yourself in that person's shoes. And so we did a bunch of research and talked with people who were interested in buying a course on building a YouTube channel and really got to the core that a large part of the course should be teaching people the basics of filmmaking. And that's it's a difficult thing to do and kind of talk about intentionality and minimalism. You have to figure out there's a burden of teaching people too much and going into every manual setting and showing them every single way that it works, because then they get overwhelmed by it. And so to a degree, you almost want to be really simple and say, okay, if you're just getting started out, use AV mode or use auto mode. And then once you're ready, you can, move along to manual mode. But so many people are going to stop because it's going to be too overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And so that's been one thing that I've learned about just the content itself and figuring out how I can actually best serve the actual customer who wants to buy the course.
Well, I heard a stat where it's like the majority of people who start online courses will never finish them, like from a student perspective. Have you got data on like slow growth? Like, have you learned anything about like drop-off rates or why people leave courses or how many people complete them?
Yeah, I'd have to ask my brother Mark, who does all like the analytics on that. I know that, we have one course out, and I'm sure that we have the actual data on that. I know that there's like stuff that we want to change about the course to hopefully help engage people even longer. I think the fact that like the videos that I make for slow growth are more cinematic, that are kind of designed similar to my YouTube videos, I hope that actually engages people longer. It's hard for me to know because it's like, I don't know what the baseline to compare it to. But yeah, I think that like it's true. I think most people actually buy a course and then they never even take the first lesson.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that's probably the biggest problem. It's because I've actually done that before. I don't know if you guys have, but like I buy a course and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to get to this tomorrow. And then you just get so freaking busy.
Yeah.
What have you done it, Josh? A course. If I was to part with money for a course, I've done a course and not finished it.
Well, there's definitely
not finished the bookwork and stuff. That was like a bunch of in-person stuff.
School?
Yeah. No. Another one after school. But no. I didn't finish it, but I was like, I still got worth out of it. And so if someone does do a few or engages or sets an intention once they've paid, like there is a way of it working, but you do want someone to finish it.
Well, it's like the all-you-can-eat sort of course platforms where I guess like the likelihood it's I'm trying to think of, I don't know if it's Skillshare or Udemy. I think it's Skillshare. Like it's so easy to not finish stuff when you pay one monthly fee and you get everything. It's like it's so easy just to like get in on something and then be like, I just don't have time for this.
Yeah, I think that's the weird thing to me too, is the fact that we pay for all these memberships. Josh, I know that happened to you too, where you realize like, oh my God, I'm paying for like 15, 20 memberships. And I think, that even happens with something like Patreon and I get guilty and I feel guilty where I'm like, there's people that are paying for my Patreon membership who have not, never watched a video or who like maybe even forgot that it existed.
Yeah.
And so I think like I feel bad about that. But then Patreon is kind of unique in that it's people who are trying to contribute to your work and who have found value in what you do. And so they want to actually give back. And so it's a little bit different. But I do think like, any kind of membership, there's always going to be, I think that's what most memberships count on. Like it starts with like gym memberships all the way down to like Audible and all these other platforms where you sign up for it and then you forget about it. And then 3 years later, you're like, am I still paying for that?
I feel like that's with the golf, because I've got a membership at a golf course now. I'm just determined for that not to be the thing.
We always
another
do
membership.
We all do it. Yeah. What is the difference in making something work and making it not be like the other ones?
What do you think?
P.S. Craig Harper's 3 minutes away.
Oh, great.
Oh, wow.
You're right. Yeah.
That's
go on.
I was going to say that what happened. Oh, if I come to Melbourne, Melbourne.
I loved how you said Melbourne.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it. I'm honestly like lost now because like we say it Melbourne, Melbourne. So if I come down there, can we go golfing? Like an actual course?
Oh yeah. I mean, George, this is huge. This is great. Not only that, but we will
take you to your favourite massage parlour.
I will. No, you know what? I'll personally give you a hand job.
Okay, winner gets a hand job.
Yeah. It's not the only hole in one you'll get if you come down, if you know what I mean.
How about like fourth place gives a hand job to third place to second place, second to first.
Yeah, it's sort of like a human centipede.
rodeo.
Are you cool with that, JB?
Glove on or off?
Glove on or off?
Jesus.
Very good. I mean, the calloused hands that I have, the blisters.
That'd be a left-handed hand job then, because you have your glove in your left.
We can work out the details later. Let's have some respect.
This is ruining my brand. I'm gonna take that Instagram post down.
Mate, take down the 2 videos you made with us too, mate. They're more brand damaging.
Yeah, it's gonna ruin you. No, but I would very much love it if you play golf. And yeah, it's a really supportive environment. And
yeah, I think that actually would be a lot of fun. I think I get intimidated when I play golf with people who are like really competitive, and I just know that you guys aren't athletic
Or competitive. Look, we're not about winning in this business.
Yeah. If you've learned anything,
Couple of losers.
Yeah, we're the ugly mates that make you feel good in all your photos. But we're happy to be. You know what? Like the best ugly mate is the one that will stand next to you and fucking smile and get that photo.
Georgie boy, I'm going to, if you want to grab the mic, go downstairs and prep the garage. I'm going to open it up in a moment.
This is great. Okay.
Craig Harper's going to roll in.
Okay, perfect.
Matt can hang on and watch if you want. So, otherwise, if you want to go and eat your Chinese soup.
Craig Harper is an exercise scientist. So he knows all things and is currently studying motivation. So he knows a thing or two when it comes to fitness. And it will be very helpful.
We should tell him about camera gear.
Yeah, I think he will love the ISO chat. So, Devella, are you speaking to people about like how long are you going to be in Australia for? Do you know yet, or are you still undecided?
Oh yeah, did I told you, didn't I?
Yeah, we're still on it. We're still on air.
Yeah.
Are you what's the latest? What's the latest?
I know. Yeah. I don't know if I've actually. Yeah, I didn't make it public. I mean, I told my family and friends, and that's the only thing that matters. But the fact that, we're sticking around Sydney until September, and then we're going to be heading back to the States. So
great.
That is if we're allowed to leave. We have to get an exemption to leave here.
Oh, really?
What's happening in the garage, JJ?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have a look at the garage. Here we go.
G'day, guys. Craig's just arrived.
G'day, Craig.
Craig Harper.
Welcome to the building.
Hello, boys and girls.
Hello.
Oh, look, there I am. Bloody hell. This is quite the welcome, isn't it, on a Friday night?
We've got,
you must be special.
We've got Matt Diavella watching as well.
Well, not the Matt Diavella.
Yes.
Hey, man, what's up?
How's it going?
Oh, listen, is that your best Aussie?
All right, Craig, what we need you to do is putt for a cup. How's your golfing skills?
Shit house, but we'll see how we go.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
JB, get your other
Going to put
camera
down.
ready.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Craig Harper on the putt.
3 goes.
Go left or right hand?
Okay, all right, here we go. I'm going to get the reverb on.
Here we go.
Exercise physiologist, remember?
Yeah. Here we go. This is it.
Okay, no, very close. It's all in the psychology.
Okay.
Do you boys do I get 3 or?
You get 3.
Three.
Yeah. Just calm down. Be calm. Oh, it's a very hard carpet to read, which you hear a lot in the Masters. Okay, here we go.
Very generous. Has anyone got it, by the way?
Yeah, everyone.
You're putting until you get it, Craig.
That looks good. He's got
it.
Well done.
I can. Thanks, boys. Yeah. No sugar drinks. Gets no better.
Yeah, we've got.
I bet Matt Diavella's just bloody riveted with this bloody high level entertainment.
You loving it, Diavella?
I mean, yeah. I am impressed. I wish I was there.
It would be lovely. It would be lovely.
Dude, you're missing out. This is what happened to us in the pandemic. We went somewhat senile prematurely.
All right, come up top floor, Craig.
Okay, Craig is joining us.
Welcome.
All right, here we go. GB, we've got the camera on. Are you right, GB?
How many guests have you guys had so far?
We've had...
this is the 9th, I think, and we're going for 10.
Yeah, we've got Ryan Shelton after this. There we go. Craig Harper. Hey. Welcome. Come on in.
This is coming to the hot seat,
Craig,
mate.
You're over here.
Hi, how you going?
Come in, mate. Welcome.
Hi.
G'day, mate. Come on in.
Hello to all 7 viewers.
Yeah.
And we still have... Diavella laughed too hard at that.
And those are all from my Instagram account.
All from his Instagram account, Diavella said, put your headphones on, please. You put your headphones on, Harps.
I should put something live right now on Insta.
No, this is good.
You're all right, mate.
Hang on.
Come in.
All right.
There we go. How are you? You happy with how you look?
Oof, terrible. Can we put a filter on me or something?
No, you look great.
I should have put a bloody Hessian bag for the viewers.
Thanks for coming on the show, Craig.
And we also have Diavella still here as well.
And
so you can banter out a little bit.
We're actually finishing early, and Diavella and Craig are taking over. So over to you guys.
That is definitely not happening. He's got way too much
start
talent.
a podcast?
And we could do something. We could do something.
Harps, how's the uni life going?
Well, that's what everyone needs, a PhD update. Look, it's okay. I just got what's called ethics approval, which means I can run all my studies like a grown-up. So can you turn up my headphones a tiny bit?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I can do it from over here.
Yeah, perfect.
So I'm about to run my first study, and it's good. It's interesting. That's perfect, Tommy. Thank you. So it's just like when you're doing a PhD, especially in neuroscience or neuropsych like me, you run studies and your job is to bring new science into the world. So you're not doing something that's been done. You're either creating something brand new or you're expanding on something that's been done. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And it's about to, so I'm about to do a study with 400 real humans. And we'll see how that goes.
What kind of a study? What are you doing to them?
So we're putting them through the scale that I developed, which is to evaluate external self-awareness. You know, the U experience, of which you've heard me talk for years, and now we're turning it into an actual scientifically validated test. So in order to validate a scale, it needs to be used in conjunction with other scales in the research to see how it correlates. So bottom line is we're establishing whether or not it measures the thing that I think it measures accurately and predictably and reliably. So that's what I'm doing. And the thing with a PhD is everything has to be perfect. You know, like you submit your ethics application, which is this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm doing my research, and it's pages and pages and pages and pages and pages. And then they always send it back and go, nah, change this, change that, fix that. How are you doing that? Then you send it back again, then they send it back. You know, so it's this ongoing process, and it has to be because of the nature of, you know, research and published science in academic journals. It has to be flawless because also then the you know, I'm one of the authors, like I'm driving the research because I'm the student, but you have supervisors who co-author the paper with you. They don't really do much other than just guide you. They're amazing, but you do all the work. But then your work is basically the property of the university. So Monash University. So they're not going to go, if I do something groundbreaking, they're not going to go, Craig Harper did this. They're going to go, researchers out of Monash University have discovered, and I'll just be a bloke. Yeah. And his is one of the blokes. Yeah, but that's good. That's what it is. And, you know, it's great. It's, you know, the thing about doing something that is, you know, unfamiliar to you and new and different, and I mean a total departure from what you normally do and the environment that you normally do it in, is that you grow and you develop new skills and awareness and understanding and insight. And, you know, I'm in my 50s and I'm using my brain in a new way, and you're developing cognitive skills and study skills and memory skills and explorative skills that, you didn't have or you didn't have in that kind of capacity. You know, and that's so it's for me it's fun.
We're just talking about the rate of people not completing courses that you buy online.
Oh, I would imagine it'd be. Have you got a number,
Matt?
Well, yeah,
Matt, it was very
pretty
low.
Yeah, I don't think that many people.
I think it was 70% of all businesses fail.
Oh, that's failed. But
even like course-wise, I think that most people aren't finishing it. In regard from a motivation perspective, that's sort of been where things have lent for you. Is that still where you're focusing on, like people's motivation, Harps?
No, it's more broadly human behavior and psychology. So motivation is a small component, but why we think the way we do, metacognition, thinking about thinking, why we think the way we do, why we behave the way we do, why we tell ourselves the stories that we tell ourselves, how we create our own experiences unknowingly, how we drag our programming and our conditioning and our training from childhood into adulthood without necessarily being aware of it. You know, so if you think about all of your beliefs, how many of those did you choose? Hardly any. They just kind of grew on you as a byproduct of where you were and who you were with. You know, so if you grow up in a Catholic family that eats meat and barracks for Carlton, there's a fair chance you're going to barrack for Carlton, eat meat and be a Catholic.
We've just had someone knock at the door.
There's
We've
a bike rider.
Some form of Uber Eats. GB, can you be on that? Can I also say from a bicep perspective, we've got some of the biggest biceps in the whole Gronk Squad community here between Diavella and Harps. Some of the best.
Wow, he's a good-looking bastard though, isn't he? Look at him. He looks so youthful.
Yeah.
Hey, but I did. Sorry, Matt, go.
No, it's all right. Yeah, somebody messaged me the other day because like it's been like an ongoing joke amongst my audience about my biceps. Like everybody talks about them for some reason. And somebody messaged me on Twitter the other day and he's like, Matt, I'm going to be honest. I really don't see it. Like, I get it. Like, your biceps are decent, but like, let's be real. There are people with way bigger biceps than yours online. And I have to agree with him. I really don't understand where it comes from. I think it's just out of place, maybe.
Well, I think it's because you wear your little brother's T-shirts constantly. I'm just taking a stab.
I mean, that's half the battle.
Well, that's it.
Well, I feel the funny thing about you, Harps, is I think that you are like an OG minimalist. Like, I think that if you think about minimalism and Diavella's obviously, directed the minimalist films.
Yeah.
Is that being something conscious that you've tried to do in life, or has that just happened?
That's a really interesting question. I not consciously, but I just, you go through phases where you buy stuff and you think you want stuff, then you get the stuff and then you go, I don't want this. Or you go, geez, I need one of them, and you get it to go, no, that's not it. And I think I went through that with cars and motorbikes and stuff, right? And, like now I literally drive a $20,000 Suzuki. I wear not the same, but the same pairs of shorts every day. I wear a black T-shirt. I wear thongs or sneakers. I got dressed up tonight, sneakers. And, they're not things that preoccupy me too much. And for me, like, simple is better. I don't want to get up and stand in front of racks of clothes and think for 20 minutes about what I'm going to wear. I don't, most of my life I've shaved my head.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not too worried about being glamorous.
And self-experimentation. Diavella, you did a bunch of the 30-day challenges. What did you end up doing? How many different 30-day challenges did you do?
I did them for a year, and it's they were really fun. I really enjoyed them, and I really enjoyed actually like filming them because they were kind of like mini documentaries in and of themselves. But it does get exhausting to continue to do 30-day experiments every single month, trying a new thing. And so I did scale back, but like some of my favorites were just doing cold showers for 30 days. That was one of the first ones. And it's just so simple. But I think just like the element of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and doing something that makes you uncomfortable every day was one that really stands out. But I definitely learned a lot from him.
Have you done, are you a guy that does something like that? Are you going for, I know you went to one meal, no, you were eating lunch.
I ate 2 meals.
Yeah. So you've dropped one. That's a conscious thing, I guess.
I have one. Sorry, I've had breakfast today. I'll have dinner after this. But what's interesting is that different things work for different people. So And so we try to find this panacea or this recipe for, or, what's the best way to eat? What's the best way to sleep? How many hours do we need? How much water should we drink each day? What's the best training regime? How do you get flexible? Like, do I do yoga? Do I do Pilates? Do I just do stretching at home? And the truth is that different things work for different people, so biological variability means that you can eat one thing that I can't eat, because I don't produce as much lactase as you, which is the enzyme that breaks down lactose. So you drink milk, you're good. I drink milk and I'm like for 3 hours, like I've got a fur ball. So, and some people do, certain kinds of training and their body responds beautifully, and other people, they get injured, so what happened when COVID happened, because I kept just doing what I was doing, which was my normal 3 healthy meals a day, and I had to cut back. Well, I cut back necessarily on movement because I was homebound. I trained at home because I couldn't go to a gym, and I put on 4 kilos, which, as you boys know, is fucking outrageous for me. I'm like, oh my God. And I just went, shit, I'm getting fat. Not fat, but for me, fat. And so I went, I'm going to skip lunch for a week and that'll be cool. And I skipped lunch for a week. And the first day I got to about 2, I wasn't hungry anyway. I got to about 2 o'clock and I went, I felt good. And then I got to about 3, I felt really good. And my brain was working better than normal days. I'm like, hang on, what's going on? And I was getting a little bit of mid-afternoon cerebral fog, a little bit of fatigue.
Dangerous working from home because you can just nap.
But also, and what I found out was when I don't eat lunch, I don't get that tiredness post-lunch. So my brain, especially right now, my brain needs to be really good for at least the next few years, with work and study. And, like you guys, I do 6 or 7 shows a week now, which is ridiculous. And trying to do everything well, so you need optimal sleep, optimal nutrition, and an optimal lifestyle to fuel all of that.
On the optimal sleep thing, Diavella did 30 days of 5 a.m. wake-ups, which I think was probably the one that you hated the most. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah, and I think actually, to Craig's point about not everything works for everybody, you see all these videos on YouTube and online of people talking about how waking up at 5 a.m. changed their life. And so I tried to go with a really strict regimen of every single day, 5 a.m. And there was also, I had travel days, there was daylight savings time. And so it was, and when you're sleep deprived, I think being sleep deprived has been probably the periods of my life when I'm most miserable, just because everything is working against you. And so I would say 5 a.m. I thought it was going to change my life and make me insanely productive, but it ended up having the exact opposite effect.
Yeah.
What's your number?
Wake up time? Is that what you mean?
No, hours slept that work for you.
Develop?
I would say it varies. And so like if I'm really busy, I'll certainly do some 7-hour sleep days. That's definitely like the minimum that I'll have. Most of the time it's around 8. Usually, I try to actually get around 8.5 to 9 hours in bed because it takes a while for me to fall asleep. And so it's usually like 30 or so minutes of me like tossing in bed before I fall asleep.
And the other interesting thing about this, that's interesting, Matt, is that we think not only do we need a different amount of sleep or a different number of calories from person to person, or micros or macros or whatever, hydration, but the same person needs different amounts of everything day to day depending on what we do. So Matt might be great one day with 7 hours of sleep depending on what he's done, or one night leading up to that where he didn't expend much energy. It was a reasonably cruisy day. On another day, he might flog himself. He might work hard. He might expend 1 million calories, take 30,000 steps, do 3 workouts. And that night he needs 9 hours of sleep just to break even, just to restore. So it depends on the impact that, what we do through the day has on all of our biological systems, so your nervous system, your endocrine system, cardiovascular, respiratory, as to what, there's no arbitrary number. And this is one of the dumb things that kind of pervades community thinking, is that there's a number. What's the number? There is no fucking number. It varies person to person and for the same person.
Is there a way of determining, say, a metric or something in real time? Like, I guess there's just knowing your body, your
numbers,
physical state.
Knowing your numbers.
Well, the the best feedback in the world is your body. It's called biofeedback. Like your body is constantly telling you stuff. But we've become, because we're so technologically obsessed and focused, we pay more attention to some number between our toes than what our body is actually saying. You know, your body is a constant source of information. And, you know, so if you go and have a wee and it looks like Fanta, you're dehydrated. You need to drink more water. If you haven't had a poo since February, eat a fucking apple. You know, like if you're gaining body fat, you're eating too many calories. You know, so like these are not massively complicated concepts. You know, there are lots of variables around it. But really, if you pay, I always say to people, take your clothes off, stand in front of the mirror and, you know, it's not about self-loathing. It's about awareness. Like, what do you look like? What do you look? What's your posture like? What's your pelvis like? How far forward from your shoulders does your head sit? You know, how much body fat are you carrying? And again, this is not about vanity or ego. This is just about looking after yourself.
And what gets in the way, do you think, of our ability to listen to our body, the feedback system?
All the shit that gives us instant gratification, like fat and sugar and salt. You know, the thing is that if you've got to lose 30 kilos, for example, just as a, you know, as an example, that's going to take a while, and that's not going to be fun, quick, easy, or painless, as you've heard me say many times. But the problem is, like, I can eat 2 of these cakes that are jeepers. They look good, don't they? I can reach forward and eat 2 of those cakes in 2 minutes, and I'm going to get instant satisfaction.
Yeah,
I'm going to get, you know, instant gratification. But if I avoid those 2 cakes, I don't get instant weight loss. Right. So one of the biggest challenges for us per se is our ability to just not do stuff that in the moment will give us that dopamine spike, because that's the other really interesting thing about doing shit that we know that we shouldn't do, like have that 25th beer or sit on the couch when we should go for a walk or eat the cakes that we don't need while we're already overweight and hating ourselves. The thing is that these things create a chemical response in the brain that make us feel awesome, you know. So if you are addicted to cigarettes or to beer or to cocaine or to chocolate mud cake, there's going to be a similar biochemical response in the brain in that it's going to make you feel good and it's going to take you out of pain or out of that space mentally and physiologically that you don't want to be in.
Very short-lived.
We become addicted to the chemical reaction. That's what we're addicted to. It's not the cake. It's what the cake will make you feel.
Yeah. Fuck, it's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gateway. It's a fucking gateway.
Yeah, go. Devin.
I got a question for Craig.
Yeah.
Sure do.
You know, with as difficult as it sounds, life is right now, you know, with the PhD and everything, how do you, in times like this, make sure that you don't burn out and that you don't like exhaust all your energy? By the way, I have to go after this question. I'm really curious because like I've been in similar positions before, but it's very easy, especially when you're working towards a deadline, to kind of, you know, indulge more in the sweets and then just kind of get into this negative cycle of feeling like shit and then eventually burning out from working too much. And so with as busy as you are, how do you make sure that you don't burn out?
That's a good question. I mean, I think life is on an individual level. Life is largely about self-management. My ability to be able to manage me, decisions, behaviors, actions, reactions. You know, psychology, physiology, sociology, emotions. And so I've figured out, you know, Matt, over time what works for me, and because I'm an addict, as in I'm quite obsessive. And if I like these beautiful cakes in front of me, if I eat one of the cakes, I'll eat all of the cakes because I'm a fucking frustrated fat kid. I'm still that fat kid that wants to eat those cakes, and I wish I didn't see them because now I'm a little bit distracted. But the answer to your question, Matt, is one, having a really good system or a personal blueprint that you know works for you, but then day to day being conscious and aware. And so there needs to be a level of flexibility in the way that I apply that kind of blueprint of mine. And sometimes, you know, I don't often, but sometimes it'll be a training day and my body will tell me not to train. I'm not being lazy. I'm just actually paying attention. So I would rather go to the gym than not, but I'll just stay at home.
Great answer. And Dear Vella, thanks so much for joining us today.
Guys, congrats on 1,000.
Thanks so much, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, mate, just quickly before you go, can you come on my show and I'll have more than 7 listeners for you?
I would love to.
Well, we'll hook it up. Thank you, brother. Take care.
Thanks, Dear Vella. Have a good one, mate.
All right, guys.
Catch up.
Take it easy.
So, George, take a leaf out of Harp's book at how to ask for something. You want Ryan Shelton at your wedding? Just ask.
But to be clear, there is no wedding.
He's not engaged
for George. So it's all very. Do you want Harps at your wedding?
I'll do security, mate. I'll just say fuck off. I'll just pull you outside the front door.
Have you did security back in the day?
I did security for years. Getting punched in the face for not many dollars. It was terrific.
Yeah. What sort of venues?
Lots of beautiful venues around Melbourne. I may or may not have been working under my real name. The Matthew Flinders on Warrigal Road.
Yeah.
Prince Mark in Doveton. Yeah. Area Nightclub in Croydon.
This is back in the day where they're probably more rough out those.
Well, I mean, Doveton, I grew up in Devon Hills.
The middle in, they were wild. Yeah. The middle in Ferntree Gully. First night I did security in Melbourne. I did in Perth for a little while. I got headbutted and my nose broken in the first 90 minutes of the first night. The first night, and I had an $80 white shirt that I saved up for. I didn't give a fuck about my nose, but I was shattered about the shirts. My nose was never great anyway. But so terrific.
Is that a thing sort of in the bodybuilding sort of industry for people to just naturally go into security? Or
not everyone, but I mean, it was a bit more. Laid back then in that there were not all the and it's good that it is the way it is now, but it was a little bit more, cowboy.
Did you have a number, one of those like white?
Had no number. We had to wear a particular uniform though, but there were where everyone had a number and was qualified, and it was just blokes who looked a little bit intimidating and could go a little bit. So it's like there was no.
Just wear a nice black polo.
But I mean, you wouldn't last very long. Not that I was a tough guy. I'm not saying that, but you wouldn't last very long because it's not a, depending on where you work, it's not. I'm not a tough guy anyway, but you'd get punched in the face and you'd be done.
It was a real thing. I remember, like as a kid, you would have like the family friends that were like the people that would end up doing security at all the parties and stuff like that. But it's
well, because what are you doing? You're there for when trouble goes down. So you're looking for trouble.
100%.
Not you're wanting it, but that's your job.
Look, you spend. I would spend 95% of the night doing nothing, just walking around and talking to people. But in terms of you would spend, there would be, especially where I worked, you would always be in an altercation. Always 1, 2, 3, 4 times a night. There'd never be a night where there wasn't trouble. There's 2,000 people there. And it's a nightclub and everybody's drinking and doing whatever they're doing. And by, midnight, it's just a shit fest of humanity. It's just falling on each other.
Well, we're talking about like what time of, I just heard a noise. Did you hear that? Was it Motorbike. Talking about how much you're sleeping and all that sort of thing. Was doing the security thing.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, because I can imagine you're doing shit hours. And
do you know what I used to do? This is what I did. I worked in a gym. I would get to the gym at 5 o'clock. This is at the start of my weekend. 5 o'clock, open the gym. I'd work nearly all the day. I'd work till about 4. So what's that, 11 hours or something. Then I'd go home, shower, shit, shave, shampoo. No shampoo. Then I would drive to the Prince Mark in Doveton, which is outside of Dandenong. I would start work there at 5. I would work there till 10. Then I would get on the old motorbike or in the Ford Escort with the roll cage, depending on what I took. And then I would get myself over to the Matthew Flinders on Warrigal Road at 10:30, and then I'd work there till 3. So I've been working for 18 hours.
Jeez.
And then I'd drive along Warrigal Road, stop at 7-Eleven, get myself a pie, chocolate milk and 2 pineapple donuts and inhale those on the way home. Oh, best.
Yeah.
Best ever. Totally
I
deserved.
remember the old pineapple ones. They were a thing. They'd be like wet.
Magic.
Almost.
Magic. Pretty much all protein.
Yeah.
Mate. No sugar, just all protein. And I'd inhale those in the Escort on the way home. And, then at, about 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, I'd reboot, back up, go to the gym.
Jeez.
Do some stuff. So my weekends were mayhem. But
what? Where did you live back then?
then I was living in Hampton. Yeah.
Same place?
Yeah. Oh, no, not same place, different place. But I was working at a gym in Hampton on the railway line called Trackside Sports.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And it was fun. You know what? It was fun because I grew up in a really straighty 180 environment. So I grew up in the country, a Catholic boy, Catholic colleges, didn't smoke, didn't drink. So, but I had mates that trained with me that did security and they're like, come and work with us. I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, come on, it's all right. I'm like, is it? And it's just interesting because for me it was a big departure. I'd never been to a nightclub till the first night. Never been.
Well, at least you got paid the first time.
I've never been to a nightclub in my life ever except to work.
What about here, mate? This is you went in that garage.
That was
it was either a brothel or a
right. Well, that was the first time, but there will be an invoice, so I'm getting paid.
What was your thinking back then? What was your thinking about your thinking, your metacognition? What was the level? I'm not that smart now, so I'm not going to say I've evolved, but it was like I was very much about experiences and having fun, but I was always interested in, I didn't articulate it out loud, but I was always interested in human behavior and how people worked, and there's some really, a nightclub is a really interesting study of humanity. Like there are some amazing, amazing people and amazing things going on. I used to watch, so back then, like this was in the 80s, and I would watch guys come in who I would guess back then some of them were earning $400 a week. They would spend $300 in a night. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are you going to do now? Yeah. Like that's Friday. And then they would come back Saturday and they would have next to no money. And I'm thinking, how will this, and I didn't mean to be judgy. I was fascinated because I didn't blow money on anything really other than protein powder and pineapple donuts. Yeah.
Pies. When you think security, motorbikes,
yes,
bodybuilding,
yes,
I go to bikies.
Yes.
Having sort of been in the world of the security stuff and the bodybuilding, what's the psychology of going into gangs or that sort of bikie culture? And has it changed from back in the day when you're doing security, that style of bikie to what there is today? I'm
definitely not an expert in that, so I'm guessing. But I didn't work with any of the boys who are club members. But I think there's just it's like that's for them almost for some of them like their natural habitat. And it's easy and they know people.
It's like their church.
Yeah, well, and I don't think that has changed a whole lot. I've known a few motorcycle club members and, it's like you can only go on your experiences, but my experiences personally were always good because they always treated me well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's in any group, whether or not that's a motorcycle club or whether or not it's, a triathlon club or whether or not it's vegans or, they have their own culture, they have their own language, they have their own kind of operating system that's, really fascinating. Fascinating. I love being transplanted into the middle of a group that I'm nothing like.
Yeah.
Not better or worse, but just different. Just like, this is awesome over here.
Are you an outlier in that regard? Like, I guess looking at the example of the doing security and not going to clubs, do you think that that's the common thing, or were you the outlier?
I was definitely different. And again, not better or worse. I was just different, but I learned a lot. I learned one thing about doing security is that you have to be able to read people. You have to be able to negotiate. You have to be socially aware, spatially aware. You need to be able to be the calm in the chaos. You need to de-escalate situations. You need to be an excellent communicator. Last thing I wanted to do was be rolling around the front of the bloody Matthew Flinders in the car park, punching on with blokes, you know, but that would happen periodically, but that's not what you want to do, Is it
a fight or flight, like in regards to you personally being physically fit and being physically able? Do you feel that in those moments, or is there still a level of fear?
Oh, massive fear. And anyone who goes there, they're not fearful is lying. So they're scared and lying.
Yeah.
But you're not. I mean, you're not walking around, riddled with anxiety because you get desensitized to the job and what you're doing. But, for me, a lot of more than say walking around being scared, walking around being vigilant and aware. I haven't spoken about this ever live, I don't think, on air, but that's interesting. But it's just, for me, it taught me how to negotiate and navigate certain social contexts that I'd never been in.
Is there a psychology to it that you can take to, day to day? GB, for instance, you say that if you're in an intimidating position, if he's walking down Victoria Street and feeling uncomfortable,
punch first.
No, he walks around psychologically like he's got a gun in his pocket.
Right. Yeah.
That's George's words.
Yeah.
I don't know if you resonate with that.
He doesn't have a gun?
George doesn't have a gun.
No, it's just about pretending like you've got one, I guess.
I'm not sure about that, George. We could do some studies on that.
When I did suggest that to Josh, junkie went up to him and screamed.
Yeah, I did. I've had some bad experiences on Victoria Street, and so what I'm trying to, like, TJ will know. Everyone noticed it when I'm on Victoria Street. If I see someone coming towards, even I like to pretend it's a COVID thing, but this happened way before COVID. If I see someone, it's like they've got an energy, and I'll walk. Like, even if I try and do a straight line, I'm like, darting away because I can't be fucked with people.
But you've got a little bit of Humphrey B. Bear energy about you. It's like you're not the most intimidating cat,
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Because it's cuddly.
But lovable. And like everyone fucking loves Humphrey. Everyone loves you. You're
thank you.
Like you're not intimidating, and that's a compliment.
But you'd beat the shit out of Humphrey if you needed to.
I would fuck Humphrey up if I had to.
Don't roll.
If Tommy was in trouble, and I love Humphrey, but I mean.
And so, how do you do it? Like, what is the mechanism? So, if you think about the fear, I heard Seth Godin talks about tired when you're doing a marathon. It's not about not feeling the tired. It's about where do you put the tired. I guess it's not about not feeling the fear. It's about where you put the fear. Have you worked out a mechanism around that?
Well, I mean, we are wired for survival, and our brain is built for to be hyper vigilant around threats. That's that's one of the key functions of your brain, and so we are. We've been programmed for millennia to be. Even though we live in such a comfy suburban, warm, friendly, warm environment that like genetically we are programmed to anticipate, negotiate, and be aware of threats. So for me, if I'm walking along the street and I see someone that I think this person might be dodgy, I just don't make eye contact. I don't look at them. I don't look in their face. And I make sure that I don't look particularly friendly. It's not like I just don't. But having said that,
you're like a frilled neck.
There's 90% chance I'm totally wrong. But let's just not take the chance. You keep going this way. I'll keep going that way. We're all good. But most of the time, I have very, very little trouble.
Yeah.
Ever.
So, what do you think my head hurts, but like
how are you boys holding up?
Yeah, not good. The evolutionary reason What's that? There's a term for it. So it's like why things
primal sort of stuff.
Like anxiety as a mechanism that would have been something a part of our early existence as humans. What is the evolutionary benefit, purpose of anxiety? Do you think?
Yeah, so I anxiety is not new, obviously, but anxiety is not necessarily a positive. Fear can be a positive because fear can keep us safe and help us make good decisions and help us be vigilant. But once we start to get out of awareness and vigilance and into anxiety, we start to slide more towards the more dysfunctional end of the scale from being able to cope. So I don't know that there's a necessarily a positive purpose. I think low-level anxiety can be appropriate sometimes because that can correlate with, like I said, with vigilance and awareness. I remember, many times when I go and do gigs and it's a big audience or it's an important time, or like I did my first big gig for a year in terms of face-to-face 2 weekends ago, and I had to talk for the whole weekend. So I had to work with this organisation and spoke all day Saturday and all day Sunday, and there was a low level of anxiety around my performance because I hadn't done that for a year. I'd done it a lot on Zoom, but having an auditorium or a room full of humans and me, and you've got to talk all day today and all day tomorrow, and you've got to be interesting and you've got to create connection. You've got to be a bit funny and you've got to be relevant. And, it's like, for me, it was like I just played my first game of footy and it was round 17 and I hadn't done any training.
Felt like that.
Because it's not like I did 3 1-hour warm-up gigs, so.
Do you think the feedback on yourself, so that whatever that feeling is, whatever that anxiety is telling you, do you think that is actually an illusion, or like, because I'm sure you did fine, but what do you think, like, if the real meaning of that actually is for the situation?
So
if you did do fine.
Anxiety as an experience is more physiological because there are, there's stuff going on. So usually with anxiety is elevated heart rate, elevated blood pressure, sympathetic nervous system is switched on, fight or flight, you're producing stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on in your body which gives you that feeling. So if you didn't have any of that biological stuff going on, you wouldn't be anxious. Like if your nervous system was in parasympathetic mode, which is kind of cool and calm and laid back, and your heart rate was 60 and your blood pressure was low and your body was producing dopamine and, oxytocin and all those kind of cool chemicals, you would not be stressed. And so there's always a physical component.
And so which is first though? So for instance, with anxiety, is it the, so for instance, like I feel sometimes like my throat can feel a bit funny or those types of things. Is it?
That's a good question.
Is it physical first or is it the mental state that's then causing the physical response?
That's a great question. Look, I'm not an expert in this, so I'm just going to guess. But so when we talk about the mind, usually the mind is first, right? Because we go, is that someone on the stairs? It's not meant to be anyone coming. Hang on. Can you hear the footsteps? Someone's coming up, right? All of a sudden there's an idea, there's a story and there is no one. I just thought I heard something, but the story is there's someone coming. The development of the story is there's someone coming with a gun at least, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it often starts with a story and then that turns into, these physiological responses. But the mind is kind of, 3 tiers, which is conscious, subconscious, unconscious. So sometimes there's something happening subconsciously that we're not aware of. So your conscious mind is about 5% of what happens in your mind happens on that conscious level. So even though right now you're listening to my words and you're paying attention consciously and you're thinking about the answer or the next question or whatever, subconsciously you know that we've probably been talking for about 40 minutes. We've probably got 20 or 30 to go. you're going to, it's about 17 degrees in this room, and there's all this shit that you're aware subconsciously that that these people are kind of 3 or 4 meters away, and all of these things like this, it never stops in there.
Yeah.
And so sometimes there's a subconscious kind of fear running that isn't front of mind, and that triggers something where you're not even aware of it.
I think that the live stream stuff is a good example of like where I'm always at with these types of things, which I think is the 1,000 episodes. What it allows you to do is to do more things, potentially like add on more things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So being able to, for instance, if we think about the early days of the podcast, we we wouldn't have comfortably been able to have you and Diavella going at the same time and feel like we're actually able to steer that ship and understanding what's going on. And so like you definitely see through time, the skill is being able to say, okay, I can manage this, I can manage that, more stimulus at once.
Do you think the capacity, we could talk about like I have a greater capacity now to function in an environment like this. Are we talking about subconscious capacity? Like there's a cognitive processing that's been done by our conscious.
But also whatever that thing is, that stimulus, that thing that was the source of the anxiety, you over time create a different relationship with that. And what that means is that thing that used to stress you doesn't stress you anymore. Or instead of it being 10 out of 10 stress, it's now a 4. And the stimulus is the same, but the response is the same, which is why if I said I've got to get up tomorrow and talk to 1,000 people at an event, but my overwhelming emotion about that would be excitement, because I'm like, cool, that's lots of people. If Melissa, who's my business partner, had to do that, she would not sleep for 4 weeks. She would hate that. That would be the last thing that she would want to do. That would be an overwhelming source of anxiety for her, even though it's doing the exact same thing that I would do with no anxiety. So it's not about the stimulus as much as it is the experiencer. So if there are some things that she does comfortably that give me anxiety because I don't know how to do it properly.
Where do you think fears come from? Like when you have sort of obscure fears that you can't connect to a conscious moment.
I think biologically we're kind of wired that, like, part of that is learned, but also there's an element that's just in our DNA that we're scared of some things. It's like, how do certain animals know to be scared of other animals, right? That
instinct, you could say.
Instinct. So, but it's still it's in their DNA. Yeah. So and it's not like one dog went over and told that other dog, "Hey, just so you know, this is what a snake looks like." But and by the way, they can kill you. But most dogs, some aren't, but most dogs are terrified of snakes, right? And so if they see a snake, even though they've never seen one before, they'll run a million miles. And that's kind of hardwired. And I think also with us, we just inherently know that there are some things that we should be scared of because it's part of our survival. And then the other stuff we just, you learn. Or you get programmed by your parents or your experiences or your peers.
Having your confidence knocked, I feel like, can be an interesting one. So it's like you might have a base level of confidence on something. So for instance, say before the pandemic, you might feel a certain way about your skills and your ability in front of a crowd. Then you get a break and then, you sort of get in your head about it, and then it comes out the other end with a lack of confidence. I even noticed that where I had a bit of a panic attack during a client call, which was really strange. And it was sort of this feeling of not being able to talk properly, feeling like I was like struggling to swallow, like I couldn't get out what I wanted to say. And it freaked me out from a confidence level because I had that experience. I was like, well, how do I know that that's not going to happen again? And so like from a confidence perspective, where do you land with this sort of stuff? Have you had your confidence knocked and how do you work to build it?
100%. Yep. Yep. I'm still scared of stuff. Like, I think the thing is everyone, me included, everyone is on a level, dysfunctional and a bit scared of stuff, and we overthink stuff and we procrastinate and we get frustrated and, so it depends. It depends what the thing is, but if like there was a fair element of me going back to study at 56 and putting myself in an environment and a situation where it's like, without trying to sound silly, I don't need a PhD. Like my life is good. I'm relatively successful. I've done okay. I don't need a PhD, but I want to get one and I want to do it. And I want to, for a bunch of reasons and not what people might think. Like I actually am now really enjoying the process. I've learned a lot. I understand a lot of stuff that I didn't understand before. And it's been a growth opportunity. And also I love things that make my brain work better. But yeah, horribly fearful because I just felt hopelessly inadequate and underqualified. And,
what happens? What's the response for you? What is that? How's that rear its head?
I feel like a fake. I feel like a fraud. I feel like someone's going to figure it all out, not so much now, but it's like when you go into an environment and people thought, I got introduced when I got to, so the place where I study, it's called Brain Park, is the neuroscience department of Monash Uni in Clayton. And, day one, we had a meeting and there just happened to be a meeting that day and I got introduced and, Craig comes from and he's done this and that and it's kind of, I'm like, yeah, keep your expectations low though, because I'm good at all that, but I'm going to be shit at this, so I'm already wanting to keep people's expectations low because I don't want to be embarrassed. But yeah, I think that's normal, and I think it's actually great when especially when us men say, by the way, I'm scared, by the way, I'm nervous, by the way, I feel like an imposter. I know I'm not, but I feel like it because I think then it liberates other people to go, oh, thank God, me too. Like we think we've, like I know a fair bit and I've learned a lot and I've seen a lot and I've done a lot, but in context of what there is to know, I still hardly know anything. And I think it's okay to say that. It's okay to say I'm a work in progress and I do some things great and some things terribly. And, that helps people navigate life because we realize that we're all human and we're all flawed and we're all a bit broken and we're all a bit insecure and we're all overthinkers. But that doesn't mean that we can't do awesome stuff or we can't take chances or we can't grow or we can't write a book or we can't do a PhD or we can't build an awesome podcast like you guys have done. It doesn't mean that. It just means that we're acknowledging our humanity while still committing to do the best with what we've got.
On the PhD, obviously going into the classroom, you knew where you stood or you already sort of felt like you're on the back step or you had to sort of reset expectations with people in a scenario where it is your bread and butter or where you have confidence. I guess losing confidence in things that you think you're really good at is really hard. Has there been any examples with that?
100 times when you go and you fuck up a gig. And because when you're a speaker and you're in front of audiences all the time, your ability to be able to set the tone and the mood and the energy in the room is paramount. And you have your things that work, your stories or your jokes or your one-liners in the middle of things, and I don't prepare too much. I'm quite organic, but sometimes something that will land most of the time, it just doesn't land and there's a sea of blank faces staring at you and you're like, oh God, they hate me. And I'm 2 minutes in. You're going, they actually hate me and I've got 58 minutes to go. So, sometimes trying to unravel that is really difficult. And there have been times where I've done, I like, for example, right now I'm running a mentoring group on Monday nights and that is 12 weeks and I've got 230 people from 12 countries and we do it on Zoom, right? So there's a bunch of people and they're great but I very much freestyle and because I want it to be interactive and organic and so I talk give or take for about an hour and a quarter, an hour and a half, bit of interaction in there. But then at the end, there's about a half an hour of interaction. And so, but I talk about, every week we unpack a different area, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, not Monday just gone, but the one before, I literally did a topic for about 15 minutes that I'd done 3 weeks before. And because I don't keep notes of what I did, it's just all in my head. And it wasn't life or death, but I literally told this whole group the same stuff that I'd already told them. And I hated myself for a week because I thought they'll think I'm unprofessional or I'm unprepared or I don't care and that wasn't the case at all. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the case at all. Like half of them wouldn't have noticed, right? Yeah. And the ones that did probably thought I was doing revision. Yeah. But the story that I told myself was, that I fucked up and they hate me.
And guess that's the high standard, like when you build the confidence as a high standard that goes along with it. GB, we had an Uber Eats order come through.
Oh, yeah. I was actually going to wait till Craig leave.
So it's something healthy that Craig could have.
I didn't want Craig to.
So Emma Lang.
No, you guys eat.
Said the delivery is from me, something healthy while Harps is there.
Oh, so this is Emma Lang. She's from
Queensland.
Mm-hmm. And
wow,
she is an absolute gronk and we love her.
Wow, that's super loud.
So we'll see how healthy we're talking.
It's still a bit warm.
Okay, great.
I think she may be pulling your leg when she says super healthy. There's Oreo coated.
Okay.
This is a joke. Emma, this is why we love you. Oreo coated and Mars bar coated, like little balls.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's literally diabetes in a box right there.
I'll just check if it's healthy. Hang on. Healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, they seem healthy.
Wow.
They're pretty much a protein ball.
Emma, that is amazing.
Thanks, Em.
Wow.
You don't have to eat them.
No, thank you.
Who knew?
Can I just ask, have people seen these cakes?
Yeah. Not really.
Did we?
Not on any.
Could you imagine putting Tommy's head in your mouth?
I licked Josh's face before.
What is that about?
They're from GB and Jess.
The Daily Talk Show.
Got us those.
GB, did you have any little archival mementos?
Well, I just thought I'd play one of your videos, TJ, from last year when, to get us fired up for the last hour.
Fire up.
Who's coming in for the last hour, can I ask?
Ryan Shelton.
Wow. Bringing out the big guns.
Yeah, big guns. Yeah. This time June last year, TJ, you did a video every day for a month, which is pretty solid effort. I think it was like 20 videos or something. And this was one of them during a bit of low motivation.
Do you want to play it now?
Yeah.
Go for
it. It's only day 3 of this video project and I'm tired. I've been up the last couple of nights and I need some motivation. I need a hit. I need my boy, Craig Harper.
We've spoken many times about analysis paralysis, and a lot of us live in our thoughts. We inhabit 2 worlds. We inhabit an internal world and an external world, and this is where the stories and the self-talk and the self-loathing and the excitement and the joy and the passion and the ideas and the creative, this is from where it's all kind of resides. But it's not until we actually step out of that, we step out of the theoretical construct that is all of that internal stuff, when we put ourselves in the middle of the practical, the doing, by going to the gym, by, physically writing that story, by playing your guitar, by you getting out with your camera and shooting some footage. Otherwise everything is just this perpetual idea, this perpetual intention, this concept, this construct, this theory, this dream that never gets breathed life into it. There will be things that work, there will be things that don't work. I've opened businesses that didn't work. I've done presentations that didn't work. Right now I'm doing a PhD, which is, I'm still scared, but the only way that I can be less scared and more confident and more capable and more resilient at that very high academic level that I feel very unqualified to be in is by putting myself in the situation. I'm still insecure. I'm still fearful. I still feel unworthy and like a fraud on a regular basis. but that's not going to go. I can't think myself out of that. It doesn't matter what the self-talk is. It's an emotion. It's a feeling. But what happens is when I put myself into a place where now I'm working against the resistance of my fear or my laziness or my procrastination, just like you do, Tom, when you go, there's got to be less lag time between my idea and my action. Once I step into that, one, I'm creating results in my practical results that can be seen, and I'm also changing my operating system. I'm becoming more proactive, productive, and effective, and less stuck in my inner dialogue.
Oh, mate, I'm fired up. What do I owe you?
$27.50.
I'll PayPal it.
Wow.
Well done.
Don't clap me. Clap yourself. That was, if you can make me good, you're a wonder. That was good.
Fired up, Craig.
I don't know that I've seen that. I think I've seen it once. That was very good.
Yeah, I liked it.
You did very well.
You did, mate.
You should get in video production or something. You should think about that.
Very professional.
But aren't we there's such a distortion in our own minds. I watch my own videos. I'm like, fuck, they're not bad. But I don't think about them like that. But I watch it. I'm like, fuck, I did that. But constantly. And it's always been there. But it's like, how much do you listen to it? Sort of changes depending on so many variables, because it might be heightened when you're feeling more anxious or things aren't going your way.
I hate watching myself or listening to myself, which is funny because I'm always being filmed, recorded. It's like my life. But yeah, I don't listen. I will listen to podcasts sometimes if we've had somebody that I thought was fascinating that I want to rehear what he or she said. But yeah, I don't like looking at myself. I don't like hearing my voice much, but it's just is what it is.
Sam Harris tells a story where he, talking about the sense of self and understanding self and what that means and how there's multiple versions of self in different contexts. And he tells a story of doing his PhD and he is on one side a very successful author, and he's doing a class with this teacher who he feels inadequate and he can't do the work, or something's going on. And then that night, Sam's having dinner with the lecturer's boss because the boss wants to know how to become a successful author. But he feels so small in the moment where feeling inadequate, and then you walk into a room and, you're feeling a heightened sense of self or that version. What is it for you in terms of self and your understanding of that concept, sense of self?
Oh, wow.
It's a huge question.
Yeah, no, I love this. So I'm really interested in identity, that like who we think we are or how we see ourselves and why we see ourselves that way, but also whether or not we have an external, like an outside-in identity or an inside-out. An outside-in identity is generally when I get my sense of self from stuff, from my bank balance, from my car, from my body, from my face, from my brand, from my reputation, from my degrees, my qualifications, the whatever, all the visible stuff, right? And one of the problems with that is when I get my sense of self from what people think of me or my bank balance or my car or my good looks or my big muscles or my whatever, I'm always going to be somewhat insecure because that stuff can go, right? That'll disappear at some stage, or we could go broke, or we could lose the car, or, we could gain 50 pounds or whatever, right? And there's nothing wrong with having any of that, but we don't want to confuse what we have with who we are. But for me, identity is more an internal value-driven thing. It's like, what are my beliefs? What are my values? What's my internal sat-nav telling me? What really matters to me, And you remember about a year ago I was training and my training partner literally died. So we're in the gym and he died. He literally had a cardiac arrest and died. And I started working on him straight away, obviously, and giving him CPR and doing all the normal things that you would do. And fortunately, the good news is he was only dead for 17 minutes. But it's amazing what can go on in 17 minutes. And in 17 minutes, it could have been 17 days. And all of a sudden, and we all go, oh, yeah, it's so true. But this is what I say to people. Don't wait till someone fucking dies, or don't wait till you nearly die, or don't wait till you get diagnosed with this or that before you start to do a deep kind of dive on what actually matters to you. Let's not wait for the catastrophe. And so for me, my identity comes from a platform of, you know, who I'm connected to, what I'm about, what I can do for others. I know that sounds cliche, don't care. How I can serve people, how I can empower people to be a better version of them, and not better as in performance necessarily, but happier, calmer, more fulfilled, more balanced, more joyful, you know, all that stuff. So I think for identity to be healthy, it needs to be more about the internal than the external. And we are a very externally focused culture and society. We judge people's success on their stuff. Oh, wow, look what he's driving, or where she's living, or what she's doing, or look at the amount of Insta followers he or she has got, or look at and we all do it. Like, we all look at our numbers, right? But, you know, one of my favourite scriptures, I don't want to get all biblical on you, but it's what does it profit a man if he gains the world but loses his soul? And I feel like that was
actually written by the founders of Instagram.
Yeah. It's true. AKA St. Paul. But, you know, it's like and there's nothing wrong with building wealth and accumulating stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But when we confuse our stuff with ourself, then I think there's a problem. And, you know, it's like, I think because so many people get their identity from all things external, there's this underlying insecurity. And I've worked with many people that your listeners and viewers would know, many. And away from the shininess of their life, they're medicated for anxiety, they're medicated for depression, they're overthinkers, they don't sleep, and their internal world is crap. Their external world is amazing, but their internal world, which is really where we live in our feelings, we live in our thoughts, we live in our dreams and hopes and ideas and internal experiences. That's where we live.
You work with a bunch of people who are in crisis, or they're, you know, suffering from addiction, or, you know, these big things that you would describe as rock bottom. The idea of rock bottom, you hear people say that sometimes you need to hit rock bottom before the change will come, which I guess is to your point around, you know, having someone die or nearly dying yourself. Do you subscribe to the idea that some people need to hit rock bottom before they change?
I don't know that I subscribe to that idea, but I know what you're saying. Yes. I think that sadly, we don't need to, because we can all change behavior tomorrow. You know how? You just get up and do different stuff. And people go, oh, but how? I go, well, what are you currently doing? Oh, I don't exercise. All right, well, tomorrow exercise. And they're like, but how? I go, what do you mean, but how? You know, my question is not how. My question is, why won't you?
Yeah.
Like, why won't you? Because it's voluntary. Like, nobody's nailing you to the couch. Nobody's coming into your house and pushing cake into your mouth. Like, these are all choices, you know.
Today we've actually had a bit of that. So
yeah.
We can't be held responsible for any of this.
Exactly.
But
so what is so if you think about what is, if you were to define what rock bottom is, because rock bottom in some regards is just it's everyone's unique version, right? So
100%.
And so rock bottom is really just where you ended up deciding that it was enough of a reason to change. And for some people, their rock bottom is
4 kilos, like you mentioned.
Yeah, or missing the gym for a week. Other people, it's 50 years of obesity.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't think. Yeah. Look, I think like I spent, and I'm no guru in this. This is just my thoughts. Like I worked at the coalface of addiction with addicts and alcoholics for 3 years at Dayhab. So, and I wasn't, you know, I didn't do heaps, but I was there every week. And like at rock bottom in addiction is rock bottom. Like what we think is rock bottom, most of us, it's like, fuck off. You're not even halfway there to rock bottom. Rock bottom is you're going to die real soon. Like you're going to die soon if you don't change your life or change your operating system or change your thinking or change your behavior. You're going to die. And, even, and God bless, but even, about 3 months ago, and Mick's spoken about this publicly. So, but one of the guys from Dayhab who was a counsellor, relapsed and passed away.
Oh.
And this is like addiction is fucking terrifying. And people, like, I don't think most people really get addiction till you've been around somebody who is, or been someone who is really, really, really at that place where this is not disruptive. This is like life-threatening. We're not talking about someone who just eats too many pies and they need to go for a jog. We're talking about people who are stealing from their family, who are lying, who are deceptive, who are violent, who are never sleeping, who, and they don't want to be that. They don't want to be that, but they've just been overtaken by this thing.
But the interesting thing, I guess, is that what you're talking about there is the cost of that addiction, right? So the cost of that addiction is extremely high. So it's easier to communicate how addictive it must be because it's like, okay, if someone's willing to do that cost, they must be highly addicted. When you look at things like food and when you say that you are, extremely addicted to these types of things or you have addictive personality traits, how much of that is you elevating that part of you to really highlight it so you can address it, and how much of it feels real in regards to how scary that addiction feels for you?
I think there are levels, aren't there? But like for me, I just, and this is, I don't want to compare my food issues with a proper addiction, but I think a lot of food's a really interesting one because a lot of people have food issues and a lot of people have a version of, somewhere on the scale, of food addiction. And the challenging thing, of course, is we all have to eat. Whereas with booze or with drugs, you can just not use or drink, right? Obviously. But we've all got to eat. And so the challenge then is to navigate our relationship with food. So I'm mucking around about these cakes here, but
don't fucking heroin and
cheesecake.
Get that shit away from me. But like for me, I am just, and again, this is not what I think anyone else should do, but I personally, I'm just better not to open that door.
Yeah.
Because when I open that door, it's like changes something in me.
And so when someone says to you, balance, Craig, have the fucking piece of cheesecake, the real strength or the real show of character is being able to have balance and you should be able to have it. What do you say to that?
I think that's manipulative bullshit. I think you don't have to eat cheesecake to prove anything to anyone, and I don't think eating cheesecake means you're balanced. I don't think that the indicator for being balanced is that you can eat crap or drink beer, I think I'm pretty balanced, but I just know how my body works and how my brain responds to certain things. And so I 100% know that for me, not eating junk is a better path for me. Do I tell anyone else to do that? No. Do whatever you want. But
why do other people care so much about what everyone else does?
Oh, because people love to judge and, influence and coerce and control. And, people have been telling me to have a beer since I was 18. So just one, mate. One won't kill you. I'm like, I know. Thank you. You drink all the beers you want. I don't want one. Why not? I go, I don't drink. Like, I don't drink. I've never drunk. And so I don't miss it. And so, but not for any ethical or moral reasons. I just don't want to drink alcohol. I don't see that will make my life better. I've been around a lot of alcoholics. I've been around a lot of drunk people. I've been around alcohol a lot, and I don't think people shouldn't drink. I don't judge people. I think people should do whatever they want as long as it's legal and doesn't hurt anyone. But I find it hilarious that I do this thing which is actually good for my body and it bothers people.
Yeah. It seems stoicism's a big thing, especially in the space that you're playing in. Do you see yourself as having the qualities of what Stoicism is about?
That's an interesting question. I love the Stoics, and it's funny that you bring that up. Like, one of the bits of research that I looked at, I was trying to figure out when the first kind of research, proper research, or the first piece of writing was done on my PhD topic, which is self-awareness. And it was in 2,500 BC, and it was by Socrates. And he said the beginning of wisdom is, what is it? Oh, essentially he's saying for a man to understand himself is the beginning of wisdom. I forget the exact words. It's Friday night, very late. But sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, so Stoicism, just relating it to what you're doing.
Stoicism is a very practical, pragmatic way to look at life.
Yeah.
And it's like, my dog died. I love my dog. I wish he didn't die, but he did die, and so I'm not gonna sit on the couch for the next 3 months. And that seems very harsh to some people, but I think
that was Socrates, right?
that said that about the dog. Yeah.
Well, but what about
I think it was Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus?
The idea of Stoicism, what you're describing, and the more toxic idea of suck it up, mate. How do you sort of distinguish between those two ideas?
Yeah, so the suck it up, mate, it's it's a really interesting time now because we're navigating a new era of communication and media and accessibility to opinion, with what we've got right now. So this is anyone in any country in the world that's got access to the internet can watch this.
Hawaii, Denmark.
3 fuckwits in a room talking about not much, right? But I think being able to, there's a time where people will respond to directness, but you don't want to, some people pretend that their aggression or their coercion is just being direct and honest. It's a slippery slope.
What is coercion?
Is when you what does it mean?
Yeah.
Coercion means when you're trying to manipulate or force someone to behave a certain way probably against their will or awareness. And so, it's like, I personally, there are times when I will call people on their bullshit, but I know them. I know them, and I'm coming from a good place. Doesn't mean I'll always produce a good outcome. But I think too that, there's a real danger in mollycoddling people, and, not everyone needs a trophy or a ribbon because you didn't eat cake today. Well done. I walked 2Ks. I'm going to post that on Facebook. And if I don't get 100 likes and ticks and approvals, I'm going to capitulate. Hey, you're a 40-year-old dude. You don't need a round of applause because you didn't eat McDonald's. Yeah. Like, this is fucking pathetic. Like, harden up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a baby. Like, we need to, yes, we need to care for people. We need to be understanding and aware and empathetic, but we also need to help people become strong and resilient so that when the shit comes, and the shit is coming, that they are okay. Like, I want to help people be independent and strong and resilient. I don't want them to rely on me. I don't want them to rely on another person. We're not talking about people who've got a disability here. We're talking about people who don't have a disability, who there's nothing in inverted commas. There's no reason why they can't go for a walk or eat well or make good decisions or embrace new behaviours. I just think that it's difficult because people are so fucking predisposed to getting offended at anything.
It's interesting because it feels like in one regards people are overly sensitive, but at the other end people aren't feeling enough and actually listening to themselves. I find that contrast is where we land with this stuff. Is it's like, how do you oscillate between those two ideas, the listening to yourself and being sensitive, like do you see sensitivity as a strength or a weakness?
I would probably use the term empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I genuinely love people, and I love dudes, I love girls, I should say men and women. I'll get in trouble for that. I love people. I love helping people to help themselves, but I also think love is not always about telling people they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's actually debilitating.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not awesome. Sometimes at the moment you're being a dickhead.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean you can't do great things. Doesn't mean you don't have amazing potential, but you're not being awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you're not special.
Yeah.
You're just another human, just like I'm not special.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are some really kind of over the top, warm, fluffy messages that I believe do more harm than good, because yes, we want to support and encourage and love people, but we also want them prepared for the messiness and the bullshit of life.
And so the idea of coercion and thinking about, I guess, even people's inability to not project themselves onto others, how do you then work on things like advice, or even say thinking about what you're describing, which is like, you want to kick some people up the ass and say, you need a reality check. You're being too soft with this, or you're being overly sensitive. It's weird because I look at myself and see how I have blinders on half the time, or I'm not completely in tune with how I'm being, or not completely aware to a situation. And then I think, oh, you know what, maybe I've got that same blinders on for the people around me. Like it seems really clear when we see someone else and we see their problems, but maybe they're not any more clear. Maybe we just have a greater ability to project onto others. And so then advice versus coercion, doing something that's, going to help someone versus it's just actually projecting your own bullshit onto others.
Look, that's great. That's a great point. I think my question is, did they ask for it?
Yeah.
Did they ask for it? Mm-hmm. Do you want my feedback? Do you want my insight? Do you want my thoughts? If you don't, cool.
Yeah.
I never give people advice that they haven't asked for. Never. I used to. Doesn't work. Even if it's the right advice, or you believe it's the right advice, because that, like, you can't, what's that saying? The student, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. The student has to be ready. Like the person. Like people have given me advice over the years, which was really good advice, and I was pissed off at them, and I was the problem.
Yeah,
they weren't the problem. They weren't doing anything wrong. I just wasn't ready. And you have to be ready to, step into whatever it is, self-awareness, self-acknowledgement, whatever.
When it comes to big changes, indecisiveness seems to be a common thing that many people can relate to, whether they experience it or they have loved ones or friends that experience indecisiveness. How do you work through indecisiveness, and what do you think indecisiveness actually is?
Can I help you out? Indecision.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You're making that way longer than you need to. I think it's mainly about, that is a good question too. Our lack of willingness to get uncomfortable, because usually if we're indecisive, we are not making a decision about something that we probably should. We're avoiding a decision, or we're not taking action or not committing to something that, so we might be indecisive about going to the gym or joining the gym or giving up that thing or taking up that thing or whatever it is. And that is because, like, the dichotomy is, and you've heard me say this, Tommy, a million times, but on the one hand, we want to change. Like most people, they want to be whatever, healthier, fitter, leaner, stronger, more balanced, more fulfilled, I don't know, more excited, more inspired, whatever it is. Most people if you talk about them and their journey and where they're at and what they'd like to do, be create in the next 1 to 5 years, they are things that they would like, positive change. But then to change requires change of behavior, change of rules, change of operating system, change of habits, and all of these things are uncomfortable generally. So on the one hand, we want the results of the journey, but we don't necessarily want to get uncomfortable enough for long enough to create that outcome.
Perfectionism too, maybe.
Yeah. I'm a little bit OCD with some things, a bit perfectionistic. Other things, not so much. Like I'm very the stuff that like the stuff that I put out into the world. Like I can put up something on, I can write a whiteboard. As you know, my Insta is whiteboard lessons, right? At whiteboard lessons, but I'll write something and it's 9.5 out of 10 on the whiteboard. Then I'll rub it off and rewrite the whole lot because 2 of the letters are too close to the edge of the board, and no one would notice it but me. But I just,
You got great handwriting. And you're a lefty. I forgot about that.
Yeah, my dad's an artist and I am naturally quite artistic. I had a screen printing business for a year when I was a kid, and so I used to literally design logos for people before computers were a thing. So I would hand design logos and using all kinds of stuff that we used back in the day. Stencils and stuff that you use for what's called technical drawing or architecture, or all those things. We use protractors and different kinds of where's tech drawing tools.
Where's the creativity come out in a PhD?
There is very little.
No, I thought so.
Very little. They don't give a shit about your creativity. They don't give a shit about your personality or
how much. I think about life. It's not perfect, and the PhD process sounds like there's a lot of people who are needing it to be a version of perfect. How is that grounded in reality? Like the one that most of us are experiencing, where perfection isn't.
Well, they just want the science to be right, so it has to be. And I understand it. I don't think it's a bad system at all. I think it's the right system. But it's like, if your mum's unwell, and my mum's been unwell a bunch of times, you don't want them having a stab in the dark when they're doing the surgery or when they're administering those drugs, or you want them to know exactly what and so that's science and that's research and that's so, but it's definitely not for everyone, academia at that level, and it's it is very specific, and you have to you're not going to go in there and change anything. It's the system is the system. You work within that. You learn the language. You learn the culture. You sit in your cubicle. You learn how to research. You learn how to write academically. You learn how to do science at a high level. You learn to become more efficient and effective. You learn to skim really well because every academic article is 30 pages.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's a commitment, but it's all right. No one's making me do it.
Yeah.
Harps. Oh, thank you for taking the time on your Friday night.
Where's your Ryan?
He's here in half an hour.
Yeah, about 9:30, 9:45.
All right, well, I'm heading straight to McDonald's. I'll be taking those cakes with me.
Yeah, we got some in the garage.
Congratulations, boys. It's amazing. You've done great things, and you continue to do great things. And Georgie, you've been a boon for the team. You've been a blessing.
Oh, thank you, mate. That's
probably the
really
most valuable member, to be honest. But you got to keep these two blokes' egos in check.
Yeah,
and thank you to you, Harps, for all the support.
It's so much support.
Yeah,
pleasure. You guys are great. You're great. All right, everyone. Love your guts. I'm off.
All right, mate.
Love you, Harps.
One more putt or no? Nah.
No putts.
No, you got one in. You got one in. Thanks, buddy.